Welcome back to the channel, Rarest Coins everyone. If you're a coin collector or just someone who loves learning about hidden treasures, you're in for a treat today. In this video, we're going to explore the 1994 Lincoln penny, a coin that most people wouldn't think twice about, but could actually be worth up to $1.3 million. I know, it sounds unbelievable, but it's true. We'll take a deep dive into the history, the rare varieties of the 1994 penny, and why some of them are incredibly valuable. Stick around to learn everything you need to know. Let's kick things off with a bit of background on the Lincoln penny. Introduced in 1909 to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, the Lincoln cent is one of the most iconic and well-known coins in the United States. Designed by sculptor Victor David Brenner, it has featured a portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse side since its inception. The reverse side of the penny has gone through several changes over the years, from the original wheat stock design to the Lincoln Memorial, and eventually to the shield design we see today. But what remains unchanged is the enduring legacy of Lincoln on the front of every penny. By 1994, the Lincoln penny was made from copper-plated ink, a standard that had been in place since 1982. So, what makes some 1994 pennies so valuable, and why are they worth up to $1.3 million? Let's dive into the details. So, let's get to the heart of the matter. Why is the 1994 penny worth so much? Most of the pennies minted in 1994 are, of course, worth just 1 cent, but there are certain rarities that can make these seemingly ordinary pennies incredibly valuable. As is often the case with valuable coins, it all comes down to errors or unique features that make certain pennies stand out. While the 1994 penny may seem unremarkable to the casual observer, it's actually home to some very rare varieties that can make a huge difference in their value. One of the most valuable varieties of the 1994 Lincoln penny is the double die obverse, often referred to as a DDO penny. A double die occurs when the design is stamped onto the coin more than once, resulting in a doubled appearance on certain parts of the coin. In the case of the 1994 DDO penny, you'll typically see doubling on the date, as well as the words "Liberty" and "In God We Trust." These double die varieties happen during the minting process when the coin is struck more than once with the die, causing the details to appear slightly off-center or doubled. For a coin collector, this is a highly sought-after error, and the rarer the error, the more valuable the coin becomes. The 1994 DDO penny isn't the most common of errors, but it's definitely one that collectors actively seek out. A well-preserved 1994 DDO penny can fetch thousands of dollars, and in the right market, it can even go for over $10,000. But here's the kicker: when you get a 1994 DDO penny in perfect condition and it's graded highly by professional coin graders, the value skyrockets. Some of these rare pennies have been known to sell for over $1.3 million at auction. That's right, a $1.3 million for a single penny. It's this kind of rarity and error that makes certain coins so valuable. Another rare variety that can make the 1994 penny more valuable is the no mint mark penny. Typically, coins minted in Philadelphia have no mint mark, while those minted in Denver have a D mint mark, and those from San Francisco are marked with an S. However, in some rare instances, pennies from the Philadelphia Mint were produced without a mint mark by mistake. A 1994 penny without a mint mark could be worth significantly more than the average 1-cent piece. While it's not as common as the DDO variety, these no mint mark coins are still highly prized by collectors, and they can fetch several $100s or more depending on their condition. Now that we know which varieties of the 1994 penny are valuable, let's talk about how to identify them. The key to recognizing a rare and valuable 1994 penny is to examine the details closely. For the 1994 double die obverse penny, the most obvious place to look for doubling is in the date and the words "Liberty" and "In God We Trust." If you notice any areas where the lettering or date appears doubled or blurry, you may have a DDO penny on your hands. It's important to check carefully under magnification, as the doubling can sometimes be subtle. For the 1994 no mint mark penny, All you need to do is check the obverse side of the coin. If there's no mint mark and you're sure it was minted in Philadelphia, then you could have a rare coin that's worth more than a typical penny. Condition is also a huge factor in determining the value of any coin. Coins that are in excellent condition without scratches, dents, or excessive wear are always worth more than coins that are damaged. When assessing a coin, look for any signs of wear on Lincoln's portrait, the date, or the inscriptions. So, what is the actual value of a 1994 Lincoln penny? For most 1994 pennies, the value is just 1 cent. However, the rare varieties we've discussed, such as the 1994 DDO penny and the no mint mark penny, can be worth far more. In good condition, a 1994 DDO penny could sell for thousands of dollars, especially if it has been graded by a professional service. On the high end, a perfect 1994 DDO penny could be worth up to $1.3 million. Similarly, a 1994 penny with no mint mark can fetch hundreds of dollars if it's in good condition. Though not as valuable as the DDO variety, it's still a sought-after coin among collectors. To sum it all up, the 1994 Lincoln penny may look like just another 1-cent coin to most people, but it's actually home to some very rare and valuable varieties. The 1994 DDO penny, in particular, is a highly coveted coin, and in excellent condition, it can be worth a staggering $1.3 million. Meanwhile, the 1994 no mint mark penny is another rarity that can fetch hundreds or even thousands of dollars. If you find a 1994 penny that seems unusual, take a closer look. It might just be worth a lot more than you think. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more coin collecting tips, valuable finds, and fascinating historical stories. Until next time, keep hunting for those rare treasures, and who knows, you might just find a coin that could make you a millionaire. See you in the next video. Welcome back to the channel. If you're a coin collector or just a fan of rare finds, you're in for a treat today. In this video, we're diving into the fascinating world of the 1991 Lincoln penny. Yes, you heard that right, a simple penny from 1991 that could be worth up to $1.3 million. Stick around, and I'll tell you everything you need to know about the history, value, and the unbelievable worth of these rare coins. To start, let's take a quick look at the history of the Lincoln penny itself. The Lincoln cent was first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Designed by sculptor Victor David Brenner, the iconic image of President Lincoln was first seen on U.S. coins in 1909, and since then, it's become one of the most widely recognized coins in the world. The reverse side of the coin has changed over the years, but the obverse featuring the profile of Abraham Lincoln has remained the same for over a century. The 1991 Lincoln penny, in particular, is part of the modern era, minted in copper-plated zinc since 1982. It's a coin that most of us have handled in our daily lives without thinking twice. Now, let's get to the star of the show, the 1991 Lincoln penny. When it comes to most pennies, they're worth just 1 cent, and that's about it. But here's where it gets interesting. Not all 1991 pennies are created equal. While most of these coins are nothing special, a small number of them are incredibly rare and could be worth a fortune. So, what makes certain 1991 pennies so valuable? Well, in 1991, there were some issues during the minting process, leading to the creation of certain rare varieties that are incredibly sought after by collectors. Specifically, there are two primary types of 1991 pennies that have captured the attention of coin enthusiasts. First up, we have the 1991 double die obverse penny, often abbreviated as DDO. This rare coin has a noticeable double image on the obverse, which means the image of Abraham Lincoln is slightly doubled due to a mistake in the minting process. You can clearly spot this by looking at the date or the words "Liberty" and "In God We Trust." A well-preserved 1991 DDO penny is extremely rare, and collectors are willing to pay a premium for one of these mistakes. It's believed that only a small number of these coins were ever minted, which is why they're so valuable today. If you're lucky enough to find one of these, you're holding a piece of history, and that rarity is what drives the value through the roof. Another rare variety that makes certain 1991 pennies highly valuable is the wide AM reverse. On most modern pennies, the letters A and M in America on the reverse side are relatively close together. However, some 1991 pennies were minted with the wide AM design, where the letters are spaced further apart than usual. This variant is another minting error, and it makes these coins highly desirable to collectors. When you look at a 1991 penny with the wide AM reverse, you'll notice the spacing between the A and M in America is wider than on a regular penny. These wide spacing errors are incredibly rare and hard to come by, which is why they can fetch big bucks at auctions or from serious collectors. So, you might be wondering, how much is a 1991 penny actually worth? Well, most 1991 pennies are worth exactly 1 cent, just like any other penny. But if you happen to find a 1991 double die obverse or a 1991 wide AM penny in great condition, you could be sitting on a small fortune. A 1991 DDO penny in excellent condition has been known to sell for thousands of dollars, and in some rare cases, these pennies can reach astronomical amounts at auctions. In fact, some collectors have paid as much as $1.3 million for a 1991 DDO penny. Yes, you heard me right, the $1.3 million for a single penny. That's the kind of value we're talking about. So, how do you know if you've got a valuable 1991 penny in your hands? It all comes down to paying close attention to the details. For the 1991 DDO penny, check for doubling on the obverse. Look carefully at the words "Liberty, In God We Trust," and the date. If you see any signs of doubling, you might have a rare coin on your hands. For the wide AM variety, flip the coin over and take a good look at the reverse. Focus on the spacing between the A and M in America. If the letters are spaced farther apart than on a regular penny, congratulations, you might have one of these sought-after coins. Remember, condition is key when it comes to the value of a coin. The better the condition, the higher the value. Coins that are graded in mint state or have little wear and tear are worth significantly more than those with scratches, dirt, or wear. To wrap things up, while most 1991 Lincoln pennies are worth only 1 cent, there are some incredibly rare and valuable varieties out there that can be worth thousands, if not millions, of dollars. The 1991 double die obverse and the 1991 wide AM reverse are the two most valuable types, and they're both incredibly rare, which is what makes them so highly prized by collectors. If you ever find a 1991 penny that looks unusual, take a moment to inspect it closely. It might just be a rare treasure that could change your life forever. Thanks for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more coin collecting tips, valuable finds, and history lessons. And as always, keep an eye out for those rare coins so you never know what you might find. See you in the next video.